Hi, everyone. Welcome back to 3 News Now. I'm Stephanie Haney. It's Thursday, December 10th. Thanks for choosing to be here for your top headlines from WKYC.com and our WKYC app. We start with breaking news out of Governor Mike DeWine's press conference this afternoon. The statewide curfew has been extended. That's been extended through January 2nd, so that 10 p.m. curfew will remain in effect, but it will not impact upcoming sporting events. Several specifically. There are 4 sporting events that will not be impacted. One of those is next Monday's Monday Night Football game between the Cleveland Browns and the Baltimore Ravens. DeWine said in his press conference today that the Ohio Department of Health would be issuing a variance for that particular event. Also, 3 other events, one of them being the Pittsburgh Steelers taking on the Cincinnati Bengals on Monday Night Football on December 21st. DeWine pointed out that these events are scheduled pursuant to national television contracts, and he also said that these events have been proven to be taken care of following the proper protocols, and DeWine said, frankly, he's not concerned about the things that are happening in the stadium at these events. He said that his greater concern is people who are gathering outside of the stadium with people outside of their households. So while the curfew remains in effect now until January 2nd, 2021, those particular events will not be impacted. In the press conference today, DeWine alerted everyone that 5 counties remain at the purple level. They are all in Northeast Ohio. Remember that purple level is the level 4 alert under the public health advisory system here in Ohio. That's the highest level alert when it comes to continuing indicators for the continuing spread of COVID in the state of Ohio. Those counties include Medina, Portage, Richland, Stark, and Summit counties. DeWine also talked about how we are in the biggest wave of COVID-19 so far, and we're going into the holiday season, so the next 21 days are crucial for Ohioans to stop the spread of COVID-19. So he brought on 12 doctors to talk about protocols that the Ohio Department of Health is issuing today for people to stay safe over the holiday season. These are the protocols that he mentioned. Stay home. He says that people should only leave home for essentials, medical care, work, and school. Also, wear a mask and make sure that that mask covers your nose and your mouth. A mask doesn't do you any good if you're only wearing it down here and not covering your nose as well, or if you're wearing it on your chin and not covering the nose and the mouth. He also said keep your distance and keep interactions short. The doctors also brought up hand washing, and if you can't wash your hands, to use a sanitizer with 60% alcohol solution and to avoid touching your face when you can't wash your hands. One example that was specifically mentioned by the doctors included if you have to pump your gas, to use hand sanitizer after pumping your gas because you don't have access to wash your hands. The doctors also said for people to work from home if it is possible at all, and to celebrate safe by celebrating small, meaning this holiday season not to celebrate with people outside of your household. The doctors also mentioned not to eat or drink with anyone outside of your household, specifically because this is something that you cannot do with a mask on. And the doctors did mention that home delivery, drive-through windows, and takeout options are the best possible options if you do need to get meals outside of the home. The doctors also recommended that Ohioans avoid travel and keep things that could potentially need to happen over the next 21 days safe and small as possible. That is weddings and funerals is what they were talking about. The doctors say that large gatherings cause the spread of COVID, so to postpone these gatherings or to go virtual, and if you can't, to drastically limit the size of those events. Finally, the doctors said to enjoy safe holiday activities and use common sense about gatherings, keeping them smaller, keeping them to your immediate family, and that virtual holidays are a good option this year. Of course, we'll have those on WKYC.com and our WKYC app. DeWine also said those would be published in newspapers and on the coronavirus website as well. Now let's take a look at the latest numbers from the Ohio Department of Health pertaining to COVID-19 here in Ohio. In the last 24 hours, remember, we have cleared that case backlog. So these are true numbers here in Ohio now. There have been 11,738 new cases reported of COVID-19. This is the 4th highest number we've seen in the pandemic here in Ohio. Also remember, those rapid tests are included in that number. So if you want to see a breakdown of those positive cases, from the PCR test and which are from the rapid test, you can find that on coronavirus.ohio.gov, which is also linked on WKYC.com. Unfortunately, in the last 24 hours, 111 people have been reported as having died from COVID-19. That's up from 84 reported on Wednesday. Our positive rate for the last 7 days as of Tuesday is at 15.8% for the percent of tests coming back positive related to COVID-19, and the daily rate is 14.4%. That's from Tuesday. There have been 452 new people hospitalized in the last 24 hours. That's down ever so slightly from yesterday when we saw 464. And right now there are 5,110 people in the hospital. That number is down a bit from yesterday as well. Of course, we don't know how many of those were discharges, how many of those were people who unfortunately did not make it after battling COVID-19. And of those people who are in the hospital right now, 1,193 of them are in the ICU. There have been 31 new ICU admissions in the last 24 hours, and the total number of hospital beds that are available right now in the state is staying at 25% right now. Now let's take a look at the national and the global numbers for COVID-19. These come from Johns Hopkins University. The U.S. is getting very close to 15.5 million reported cases, with 15,470,795 as of right now. And the total number of deaths in the U.S. is now over 290,000. That number is 290,670. So to give you a little bit of context there, that's almost 8,000 reported deaths in the last 4 days. So at this rate, the U.S. will likely see 300,000 deaths at some point next week. The numbers continue to creep up in terms of our percentage of global cases. That number is now at 22.3% of the global cases, while we only have 4% of the global population here in the U.S., and we are holding steady at 18.4% of the global deaths. Globally, the reported cases is now in the 69 millions. It's at 69,269,177, and the total number of global deaths is at 1,576,606. Switching to national news that is impacting us here in Ohio, President-elect Joe Biden has confirmed today that he is nominating U.S. Representative for Ohio Marcia Fudge as the Secretary of Housing and Urban Development. That was officially confirmed by Biden's team today. Some exciting news for the kid from Akron. LeBron James has been named Times Athlete of the Year for 2020. Al Roker announced that today on the Today Show, and James responded, tweeting out the announcement just with praying hands and a crown emoji. Here's what Al Roker said this morning on the Today Show. He said, "This year, James was really influential off the court as well, responsible for getting out the vote, converting arenas into polling stations, and he really leaned into his activism, making athletes all around the world feel safe to speak about issues." That's similar to what Time Magazine said. Time Magazine said after nearly 2 decades in the NBA, James has fully embraced that his talent on the court is a means to achieving something greater off of it. Time went on to say that this year, more than in any before it, James showed why he's unrivaled in both, and despite misgivings, he went on to play in the bubble and led the Los Angeles Lakers to the NBA championship, and by staying in the game, he was able to increase awareness and leverage his influence and get deep-pocketed owners, fellow athletes, and fans to engage directly with democracy. LeBron James started that organization, More Than a Vote, this year as well, and that was something that he used in order to get out the vote in underprivileged communities, specifically Black communities, including those here in Northeast Ohio. And Time went on to say, through it all, James spoke personally to the anguish of Black Americans, channeling pain and outrage into a plan of action. He was also very outspoken throughout the Black Lives Matter demonstrations that happened this year after the police killing of George Floyd in Minnesota. Now, everyone is very concerned about Time's Person of the Year. That's something that people look forward to every year, and they said that they will be announcing the winner of that soon, but they revealed their 4 finalists for 2020 Person of the Year. Those include President Donald Trump, President-elect Joe Biden, the Movement for Racial Justice, and Dr. Anthony Fauci, as well as health workers in general. So those winners will be announced at 10 p.m. today. So we'll be keeping an eye on that. That'll be on an NBC special, so you'll be able to see that right here on Channel 3. And if you've been paying attention on social media, you may have noticed the hashtag MyElf challenge that's going around. This is a very funny take on the Elf on the Shelf holiday tradition where a mischievous little elf pops up in different rooms and in different settings throughout a family's house while celebrities are declaring which other celebrities are their personal elves by picking a celebrity whose name rhymes with their name. So, for example, Cleveland native and community star Yvette Nicole Brown chose Bette Midler as her personal elf. So she posted on Instagram a photo of herself and a miniature Bette Midler propped up on her shoulder, and that is Bet on Yvette. That's the hashtag. And in her caption, she referenced that famous moment with Kanye West. She says, "I'm going to let y'all finish, but my elf is legend." And then she included those hashtags Bet on Yvette and Bet on Vet. Some other good ones to note: Levine on Celine. Of course, that's Adam Levine on Celine Dion. Hanks on Banks. That's Tom Hanks on Elizabeth Banks. Oprah on Chopra. The Oprah Winfrey, of course, on Priyanka Chopra. And Ron on John. Yes, I'm talking about Ron Burgundy, the Anchorman character played by Will Ferrell, on John Bon Jovi. Absolutely hilarious. Just search for the hashtag MyElf on social media. We've got those linked as well on WKYC.com. That's it for your 3 News Now update today for Thursday, December 10th. I'll see you next up on What's New in Clicking in Cleveland with your trending stories and a fun surprise, so make sure you tune into that today. You can catch that in the WKYC app for free when we go on the air at 5 p.m. for the entire hour, and you can do that for all of our broadcasts, by the way. If you haven't already, make sure you check out my new podcast, 3 Things to Know with Stephanie Haney. This week, I'm talking with Cleveland Clinic psychologist Dr. Adam Borland about dealing with pandemic loneliness, and on Saturday, when the new episode comes out, I'm talking all about dating with Match's chief dating expert and also a personal matchmaker right here in Cleveland. That's going to be a good one, and that drops on Saturday morning, so make sure you check that out. I'm off tomorrow, so I'll see you back here on Monday. Everybody, have a great Thursday, have a great Friday, have a great weekend. Stay safe and be well. I'm Stephanie Haney.